Okay. What this vertex form allows you to do is it allows you to visually see what the graph is going to look like pretty quickly. Right? And it gives you the following pieces of information. Okay. The vertex. This allows you to find your vertex extremely easily. Your vertex is just the coordinates hk. So when it's written in that form, it's whatever value of x would give you a 0 in the parentheses, and then whatever constant is added outside of those parentheses, which means the axis of symmetry would be what? X is equal to, where does the axis of symmetry pass? Through the x coordinate of the vertex, right? So x is equal to h. Okay. And then from that, what you can do is you can test another point in order to figure out, again, you need two other points beside the vertex. So just test one other point, look for its mirrored opposite the axis of symmetry. Okay. Just like with the others, if a is greater than 0, then what do you think your graph is going to look like? Parabola opening up. And if a is less than 0, a negative number, your parabola is going to open down. Okay, and so that's the information that you can identify in this. And so if you're given a function in this form, okay, so let's say I gave you the following equation. Okay. If a is 0, then it's a linear equation, because then the highest power wouldn't be the x squared. So let's say you're given this function right here, and you're asked to sketch the graph. Okay. If you happen to be given something in vertex form, now here's the one case where if you're given something in this form, it's probably quicker for you to do it by hand than to try to type it in your calculator, believe it or not. Okay, so if you're looking at this and trying to sketch it, what is your vertex? Okay, now remember, it's the value of x that would give you a 0 inside this whole parentheses. So what value of x would give you a 0 in here? -2. And then what's your y-coordinate for your vertex? -3. Okay, so oftentimes students will think of it as the opposite of this number and exactly this number. Okay, I don't teach that because it's possible if you were given something where this was 2 plus x inside here, then it doesn't necessarily fit that pattern. But if you think of this as whatever value of x gives you a 0 in this group, it's always going to work no matter what order the terms are here. Okay. Now, are you expecting this to open up or down? Okay, so it's going to open down because you have a negative number, a negative coefficient out front. And then what is your axis of symmetry? It's the equation, the vertical line x equals h, which was -2. So if you sketch your -2, here's your axis of symmetry. We can also sketch or plot our vertex, -2, -3. Okay, and if we label this point above, just like we did with the others, here's just your quick sketch of this graph. Okay, now if I ask you to find some other point, okay, you can do that. Easiest thing to do would simply be to find the point one to the right or one to the left of your vertex. Okay, and so if we were doing that, again, in this particular case, I'll kind of guide you through, but if you have to identify points, you might want to take the time to enter this in your calculator. If you just need to sketch it and identify these pieces of information, you should be able to do it very quickly without having to resort to entering it anywhere. So what if I gave you the following? I want you to see if you can sketch this graph. on your own. Okay, so where's the vertex? -4, 5. Okay, so that means our axis of symmetry is x equals -4, so we can sketch that really quickly. And we can plot our point, -4, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is our graph opening up or down? Okay, so if we look at our sketch just really quickly, we can label our point underneath, -4, 5. We can label our axis of symmetry, x equals -4. And we have our quick little sketch of this. That's all that you would need to do for these sketches. And when I give you these, because you'll be doing some of these by hand and turning them in, okay, I'll specify this information that I need to see on the graph. If I give you one in standard form, okay, I will also specify the information, which will include label 2 additional points. Okay. So when you're looking at these problems, that's all I want to see. Label the vertex, decide whether it opens up or down, and label your axis of symmetry. Okay, the one last thing to talk about regarding this A value, okay, is if the A value is greater than 1, then that means your graph is steep. It winds up being skinnier graph, so it'll be a really steep sloped graph. If this value is a fraction between 0 or -1 and +1, if it's a fraction less than 1, then it's going to be really flat. So like this graph right here, -1/2, I have it sketched like this, but really because of the 1/2 here, it's probably a little more realistic that it's flat like this. And it's a little bit flatter. It's not quite as steep as this one is here. Okay, so the higher this number, the steeper it is, whether it's positive or negative. The negative is simply going to reflect it down. Okay, Anna?
Why is the 4 negative?
This one? Because when you're fitting it into this pattern, the pattern is x minus h. So your h value is the opposite of whatever's there. So when you look at the x plus 4 here, you're taking the opposite of the +4. So it winds up being a -4. Again, the way that I always have said it is you take this whole expression in your parentheses. What value of x would make that 0? And so in this case, the value that would give you 0 here is -4. That's what you're going to use as your x